Have you ever bought a preparedness tool that turned out to be a waste of your money and just a piece of garbage? Let's talk about what we can do to make sure we don't buy crap. Hey Provident Preppers, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kylene, and today we're going to talk about Prepper's buyer's remorse. So have you ever done that? Have you ever purchased something thinking that you needed it for emergency preparedness and later had just regretted that decision and had buyer's remorse? Sometimes we buy things that give us a false sense of security because we're buying something we think will take care of us when in reality, it won't. We've just bought a substandard piece of equipment that it was not worth our time or money.
Why does this happen? Sometimes we're motivated by fear. Sometimes we're just so caught up in the moment we think we got to go get this or that. And let's be quite honest here. Those marketers are really smart. They've done this for a long time. They know how to hook people. And so we're tempted to go get stuff that's just garbage, or sometimes we're just tempted to spend way too much money.
Right. And so let's talk about this. The first thing we need to do always is a risk evaluation. What are the risks that we face, and what tools, resources, or knowledge do we need to make sure that we can mitigate that risk, right? Now think about this. There's four basic needs that humans have. One is shelter, one is water, we have fuel, and we have food. Those are our four basic needs, and anything above and beyond that, like chocolate, is just nice to have. So what are our guidelines? First of all, our guidelines are to buy quality. We want to make sure that whatever we've purchased is something that will last. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to buy the most expensive thing out there. And kind of in most of the things that we buy, whether it's preparedness or not, we're kind of middle of the road people. We don't buy the cheapest thing that's out there because it's got to last and it's got to survive our family and our kids and our grandkids. But we never buy the most expensive option either, because for the most part, we don't need to spend that much of our resources on something. So we kind of go middle of the road, right? We want to make sure that whatever we get is versatile, that it can be used in more than one way. An example of that that we'll show you is a Vesta heater. And the reason why we like that is because it can be used for emergency heating and cooking indoors. So you've got this one device that can do both. We always want to remember that we want to be prepared and we want to be self-reliant. But we also, it's just fine for us to be frugal and to be very mindful of the ways that we spend our resources.
We're going to talk about 17 products or tools that we have really done well with, that we look back and we go, yeah, that was a really good decision, a good choice. It's a quality product and it didn't cost us top dollar and it's working well.
Now remember, when we're talking about these 17 items, they are what is best for us and our family, and we are going to be different from you and your family because we have a huge family with 11 kids and almost 21 grandkids soon. We're excited. But we're going to be very different. And so you need to decide on the things after your risk evaluation and decide what's important for you. But these are the 17 items that are awesome for us.
And one thing we should point out here is that a lot of these things we use every day. Some of them we don't, but a lot of these we use every day. We use them so it's not just an emergency preparedness item, but things that we use regularly.
We incorporate it into our daily life, which brings me to the first one, which are our garden beds, right? That's part of the way that we feed our family on a regular basis. Now, at the beginning of COVID, can I say that word? At the beginning of the pandemic, I'm not sure what word I can say. Whenever all that happened and we got a stimulus check from the government, we decided to use those funds to build garden beds because I have MS, and so sometimes my mobility is a challenge. And so we made these nice raised garden beds so that it would make gardening easier for me and that we could produce more food for our family. The second item that I don't regret at all are the bottle shelves that Sam and Ben built for me. So with that food that I grow in the garden, we preserve a lot of it through home canning. And these shelves give me a place so that I can put my beautiful bottles up there and that I can see what I have so I can keep it rotated and it's easy to use it in our regular life. I also have things like the canner and the steamer juicer and the pressure canner and my bottles and my lids. All those are purchases that I have been very grateful for and that I would absolutely purchase again. Now, garden seeds, that's number 3, and that goes with all of this. I really like survival garden seeds because every year I can get a bucket of them. There's 100 seed packets and it's costs like $99. Actually, if you use the promo code, I think it's Provident Prepper, I'll have to look it up for you. But you can save, I think, 10%, which makes it even better for you. But those are heirloom seeds, so I can save seeds year after year after year. And there's a really great variety in there. Now, I still go and I purchase seed packets from different places of specialty ones that I want. But that is great, and that's definitely a purchase that I would recommend.
Okay, number 4 is maybe a little bit different than what you might think, but just our shelf-stable foods. Buying good foods, things that you love to eat. Fill your pantry. Don't overthink this, but just getting that food and tucking it away, putting it in your pantry so you're ready to go no matter what happens, and you're eating those good foods and replenishing them.
Yeah, only the stuff that you normally eat. So I have to tell you about the salmon, and you might have already heard this story, but I went one time and they were having a great sale on canned salmon. It was $1 for a can, and I like salmon, so I bought a whole bunch of it. And then when I opened it, I realized it had the bones and the skin in it. I thought it was like tuna, where it was just going to be pretty and flaky, and that was not a good experience for me. I shouldn't have bought so much until after I tried it and knew that it was something that our family would eat on a regular basis. So it stayed in our storage room for a while, and then it ended up getting fed to the cats, which the cats were very, very happy.
They were appreciative.
But only buy the things that you would normally eat. I wouldn't buy things just in case.
And then on a related note is your longer term storage. Such a great investment. We like to go to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints home storage centers. They have, I believe, the best prices and great quality, and there's no profit motive with them. So the prices are much more reasonable, and they're built to last for a long time. Most of them are 30-year foods. And so you've got this long-term investment that's going to pay off. And number 6, don't get me excited here, is my sun oven. I love cooking with the sun oven. I really, really love it. It does have some limitations, but it's also an amazing tool that you can use all year round, and storing the fuel is so easy because it's right there on the sun. And so sun oven has to be top of my list.
Okay, and so we go back and forth about this because I love the sun oven. Don't get me wrong. I think it is a very valuable tool, but I can only use it between 10 and 4, which means that if I need to do something outside of that time, I can't. It also means that if it's snowing or if it's raining or it's really cloudy, or in our case, sometimes it gets really windy and it just won't stay up, then I can't use it. So it's fantastic for a backup and to use whenever the conditions permit. That's my take on it. Now, let's talk about the Vesta heater. Remember we talked about how it's good to have things that you can use one item for different purposes. Well, that's what the Vesta is. So the Vesta uses Safe Heat, which is a catering fuel, so that you can both cook your food, and it uses that as a cooker and as a heater. And that's fantastic because it's that one device using that same fuel, the fuel that can be safely stored. And for me, that's a huge answer. I love that. I also love our wood burning stove. But before we bought it, we carefully researched, and sometimes you really need to take time to do that. We researched the kind of wood burning stove I wanted, and I wanted a cook stove. So ours has an oven in it. You can cook on the stove top. It has a warming tray, and it has a water jacket. So the water will be nice and hot, and you constantly have hot water whenever you're using the wood burning stove.
And it gives me and the boys an opportunity to get our exercise cutting and splitting wood.
They do that a lot. Number 9 is the temp cast masonry heater that we installed. We actually have a metal outbuilding where we have parties and things like that in it for our family gatherings, because with 11 kids and 21 grandkids, our house is way too small for that. So that is fantastic, but it's the same thing. It'll not only will heat the area, but it has an oven on top. so that we're able to cook food and heat. And that was a great purchase.
Yeah. Number 10, the buddy heaters. These are a great tool because they're indoor safe. They're run by propane, but they're indoor safe, and many products out there are not. And so having a good heating source that you can use in your home, I think is an excellent thing.
Okay, and then tents. Okay, the tents. So they're multi-purpose for us, right? We can take them camping, but we can also set them up indoors for a microenvironment so that we can stay warm during a power outage. And if you haven't heard about how to do that, you definitely need to go check out one of those videos where we talk about how to use them. But even when the grandkids came over Christmas, we set up one of those tents downstairs, and I put a little twin size mattress in it so that we could have one of them be in there and have privacy, because we don't have enough rooms for everybody, right? But that gave them their own little fun, exciting thing to do at grandma's house. So making sure that you can use them both in your regular life and in case of an emergency is great.
Number 12 is power stations, and I guess I have an addiction because I think power stations are one of the coolest tools that have come on the market in a long time. They allow you to power critical loads, and some of those are medical devices, fridge, freezer, whatever it is that's appropriate for you. Those power stations do a great job, and I'll leave a list in the description of some of the ones I like.
And then, we have the inverter generator too. That's number 13.
Yep, and that backs that all up, so we can use those solar powered stations as much as possible. But sometimes we're just going to have long periods where we don't get enough sun. The wintertime especially, we just have sometimes a week where there's not much sun. So this inverter generator, they're quiet, they're efficient, and while we're running that inverter generator, we can be doing laundry, running the freezer, as well as charging the power station, and then away we go again.
Okay, now remind me, our inverter generator, I bought it at Sam's Club, right?
Yes.
And it was only, I want to say $400? How much was it?
On sale it was $400. So.
And it has the different fuels, right?
Right.
So it'll take propane or
gas.
Or gas.
Yep.
Okay.
So a dual fuel, that's a good point. A dual fuel generator is a really good way to go. And the Honda generators are typically the Cadillac. They're the ones that everybody compares it to. But you can get some that are rated almost as good for a lot less. So find out what's going to work best for you.
Okay, now let's talk about water filters for a second. We have tried a lot of water filters, and it just depends on what you want your water to filter, what you want filtered out. I am still a fan of Berkey. I know there's a lawsuit going on, but I also believe that just because you've accused somebody of doing something doesn't necessarily mean that they are guilty. I still have high confidence in my Berkey filter. So I think that's great. There are other filters out there like the Sawyer filter, and there's several others. If you watch our water filter video, we'll show you all the different ones that we recommend. But like the Sawyer filter doesn't filter out the chemicals. It only filters out the biological creatures, and it doesn't get some of the viruses because they're so tiny. So you have to really understand what your filter is going to do and buy it that way. But for me, no regrets over my Berkey filters. Okay, and then solar lights. Okay, in the past.
She gets excited about solar lights.
I do.
Get excited about solar stoves and ovens.
Okay, so in the past, we have purchased solar lights that have broken and that, quite frankly, they just ended up being junk. But we have hybrid lights now. They are more expensive when you initially purchase them, but they are incredibly durable. So I keep them in the window of my office, and so that they're always charged. Whenever I need them, I know that that's where they are and I can go get them. It's a super bright light. Hands down, I think they are the best solar lights out there, at least that we have tried, just because they're so durable. I know that they will last for a really long time. And
they come with a lifetime warranty.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Anyway, so that would be definitely my recommendation there.
Okay, and number 16 is radio. And this includes a variety, everything from AM, FM, so one-way communication to two-way communication. And we love the Midway micromobile system because I can talk to my boys. One of them's about 11 miles away, one's about 40 miles away. And amazingly to me, and it doesn't work in every situation, but the way we lined up, we can talk to each other very easily, and that brings a lot of peace of mind. Having that radio equipment just brings a lot of peace to me to know that I can communicate with them when other forms of communication are down.
Okay, and number 17 is what's called a JACE case. And the JACE case, it's prescription antibiotics that in it there's 5 different ones, which should cover pretty much anything that we have in some type of a crisis when we need antibiotics. And I'm not a real big fan of taking antibiotics in my normal daily life, but there sure is a place for them. And just that piece of knowing that I have antibiotics in case anything happens, that is definitely, it was a little bit pricey, you know, let's say $250.
Ish, yeah.
But knowing that no matter what the supply chain's doing, no matter, you know, whether or not I can get a physician to prescribe it for me or whatever, I have these antibiotics that were previously prescribed by a physician, a licensed physician, and distributed through a licensed pharmacy. That made me really happy. I'm really grateful to have the JACE cases.
Absolutely.
So those are the tools that we have never had buyer's remorse over, and that we would highly recommend to anyone who is interested in that. But for the question of the day, have you ever purchased something for prepping that you regret? Comment
I think
below.
Probably most of us have. Most of us have.
We so have, but we don't talk about those things. So you comment below. And thanks so much for being part of the solution.